at the jail on how to interview for a job and the elements of filling out an application so that people don't shoot themselves in the foot by the way they fill out their application. And then we have a video camera, and we videotape them while they're answering those questions about their felonies or their criminal history. And then they and their peers watch it and critique them. And then they do it again. And if they still stumble through or shoot themselves literally in the head sometimes with the way they answer their felony questions, they can come back to that class as many times as they need to keep trying until they get it right. And the teacher gives them a lot of feedback on better ways to answer things. And basically, when you're answering a question about a felony, you have to give the employer enough information that when they do the background check, and everybody does background checks since 9/11, everybody does background checks, and there's getting to be more and more substantial background checks. So it's going to come up. So you need to tell the employer enough that they're not going to feel that you have lied to them, but give them minimal specifics. Don't spend all your time trying to tell them how it happened and that you really weren't guilty and all kinds of things. You need to take responsibility, be very, very brief, but give them enough information that they aren't going to feel that they've been lied to, and then get immediately into your elevator speech. That is, tell the employer all the reasons why this is the best thing that ever happened to you, because your life was going in the wrong direction, and once you got into jail, some of the programs you got into, that you've really begun to understand what you need to do to get your life going in a different direction. And there are very, very few people that I've met in Douglas County Jail, the Douglas County Correctional Facility, that want to be there or want their lives to continue the way it is. They just haven't got a clue how to go out there and successfully turn it around. They get out, they get discouraged, they have somebody putting a joint or a crack pipe under their nose or a bottle, and they're really depressed, and they know that they're going to fail the next time they're going to see their parole officer, and so they're going to get one last high before they go back to jail, and bang, they're off on another spree.
Why is a GED like a red flag?
Well, as I say, for the majority of high school graduates in the United States, they have to work harder to get a GED than they do during a high school diploma. I'm not saying anything about Free State, but that's true of the majority of high schools in this country. That to earn a GED, you have to work hard. For those 5 components of the GED, you really do have to work hard. So in a fair world, a GED would be a better thing than a high school diploma for a lot of jurisdictions. However, most people still live in the mindset that a GED says that you didn't have the commitment to the normal way that people do things to finish high school, and so that's a red flag. And they think that the GED is the easy way out, so you took the easy way out, that's another red flag. And failure to complete something that you started. There's just all kinds of ways that the employers, in their instant judgments, which is the way most of us deal with most things in life, it's just something that sends up cautions. I mentioned the job readiness class. Bert Nash comes in and does classes for drug and alcohol recovery. They do something called DBT, which is dialectical behavior therapy. It's a cognitive behavior change class. We've got a great parenting class. If you look at the social science studies of who does and doesn't come back to jail and prison, if somebody, everybody's got kids in jail. It's rare that I run into somebody that doesn't, and usually there's my baby's mama and my baby's mama and my baby's mama. They've got 3 or 4 different babies with different women, and if you can get people to understand that they've got some responsibility for that child and get involved instead of what often their own fathers did, which was to say, I'm all screwed up, I'm going to stay away from my kids so I don't mess them up too. And when you've got people that are 2 and 3 generations of saying those kinds of things, it's not that difficult to turn on the light bulb that I'm really sending my kid to Douglas County Jail if I stay totally out of his life, his or her life. That's the best way that I can ensure that that's not going to happen, is to take some responsibility for being a parent instead of using the cop-out that, if I stay away, I've done the best thing that I can. So parenting classes are enormously powerful in getting people to have the motivation to change their lives. Then they get involved in the other kinds of classes. But the parenting often is the first hook to get them really serious about changing. Because most of these people really do care about the kids. They've got an emotional attachment to it.
My question for that, who then is the teachers of these classes? Other inmates, volunteers, hired personnel?
We have over 100 volunteers that come into the jail, but the programs that I was just reviewing right there are the Bert Nash initiated program. And we're incredibly lucky that we have Ken Hayes, who was with the Menninger Foundation for years, started the Villages program, which is in 17 or 18 different states, foster parenting, really at-risk children. And Ken traveled around the country looking at which parents were the most successful and developed his, I think it's 17 principles of good parenting, not out of something that he got out of academic books, but of observing parents that were really successful with troubled kids. And Kent, when the Menninger Foundation moved down to Texas, he went out on his own lecturing around the world, and he was on Oprah and Larry King Live and Donahue Show and all those kinds of things. Became fairly wealthy, doing his 17 principles of good parenting. Got really sick of all the traveling, retired early, and got really sick of retiring and went to work for Bert Nash, going to look for people under the bridges and so on. He was the homeless coordinator or outreach person for Bert Nash, and decided that at 70 he was a little old to be crawling under bridges, and so he started coming into the jail for 10 hours a week. And we were just extraordinarily lucky that we had this person of international renown who's doing our parenting classes. So we really lucked out with that one. And then Ken volunteered to do a video that we sell to other jails so that they can follow it to do their own, they get a volunteer, and with the DVD they're able to do their own parenting classes. So it's one of the ways that we've outreached to other facilities. I mentioned our Learning Lab, a high school degree completion program. Last Thursday our teacher came in at 8:30 to do the Maximum Pod parenting high school class, and had a heart attack at 8:30 in the morning, was life flighted into St. Luke's. So we're struggling right now because we don't have a teacher. So you never know what's going to happen in jail or in life. We've had a lot of people in this community who have donated just incredible amounts of time as volunteers at the jail. As I mentioned, we've got over 100 volunteers. Some of those folks come in and do Bible studies, but when they come in to do the Bible studies, and most everybody, when they come in, I'm talking about the inmates now, really feel like they want to change their lives, and some sort of faith base is often the way people establish a new foundation for the way they're going to run their lives. And so they're very open to exploring different religions. We have Muslims and every flavor of Christianity, and a lot of different faiths that come into the jail. And some people are successful holding on to that when they go back out, but a lot of people aren't. And there's a lot of cynicism about jailhouse Bible study and so on. But my experience is that there's a lot of sincerity in that. It's just when you hit the streets, first of all, people think, I've been locked up, I deserve one good night of partying, which is usually that first 24 hours is by far the greatest danger. You feel like you owe it to yourself. You go out and find your old girlfriend, and she's got a crack pipe there, and bang, you're off on the old trail. So having somebody from whether it's the faith-based community or the rest of the community who is willing to come in and be a mentor. And there was an article in the paper just this weekend about someone from Lawrence who's mentoring someone that's coming out of Lansing Correctional Facility. And I think mentoring is probably the single most important element of reentry. So many people in the jail have absolutely nobody they can count on when they go out. Either they burn their bridges with their families, or their families are dysfunctional, and it's guaranteed when they go out there that if they go home, there's going to be drugs and alcohol around, and they're going to be back into the same old cycle.